So hey y'all, I'm about to give y'all my little Easter speech slash how I became a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And this whole story is going to point back to Christ. And this story is so near and dear to my heart because it actually happened the weekend of Easter. So for everybody that like to say, oh, this a pagan holiday, like I get that. For me, this holiday is not about eggs, it's not about an Easter bunny, it's not about an Easter egg hunt, but y'all could never make me not celebrate Christ rising up and dying for my sins. Like never. And now you finna see why. So okay. All right. This story begins with me allowing people to be in my life that they question why, God did certain things. And there's nothing wrong with that because you should take those things to Christ. But they also question the existence of God and if he was real. And I found myself having discussions with them, but because I was raised in church, really raised in tradition, just going to church, raised in, I would say, religion, because I was fornicating, I was going to clubs, I was drinking, doing everything, doing all kind of illegal stuff. So it wasn't that I had a great relationship with Christ, but I feel like, oh, I love him because guess what? I had the relationship that probably was built off my grandmother's prayers. So as I stated, I'm listening to these people ask questions like, well, why does God allow children to die if he's real? Things like that. And before I knew it, me questioning if God was real literally just got off in my spirit in some type of way. And that was kind of where it all began. So I would say that I noticed this in 2017. To be honest, I didn't notice it. But if my homegirl Andrea ever sees this, this video, she can attest to that. So my homegirl Andrea, I met her in nursing school at Alcorn. And we were talking on the phone and I was talking about this individual to her. And God literally dropped in her spirit that I was questioning if God was real. And I burst into tears. I literally burst into tears, y'all. And honestly, I felt like at that point, I really needed to seek God to know if he was real because I was debating if I should become a Muslim. I was very open to visiting Buddhist temples, all kind of stuff, y'all. I was really trying to figure out what it was that I should do religion wise and if Jesus was really real, because at that point, like I said, I was really questioning it. So when God dropped this prophetic word onto her, I burst into tears because I hadn't told anybody that I was questioning if he was real. So what I decided to do was I wanted to know if he was real, and I decided to go on a fast before I was going to become Muslim or whatever I was going to do. So I didn't do like a lot of people and just go read a bunch of stuff and be like, okay, well, it sounds like that might be right. No, I was like, you're going to have to show me, guys. So I went on a fast and I started looking for actual scientific proof that Jesus did exist. So to make this story short, I did find scientific proof that Jesus did exist. And I would definitely say that I was 80% convinced. And I should also mention that I did a fast from Monday to Sunday, and that Sunday was Easter Sunday. So in between, I would say Monday and about Wednesday, Thursday, I definitely found different, different scientific evidence that he was real. And you can search that on YouTube. I won't go into all of the the artifacts, but you can research that on YouTube. So again, and I also compared those, the research that I found the scientific artifacts with biblical history, like within the Bible as well. And like I said, I was on a fast, so you have to also take all of that into consideration. So here I am, and I'm like, okay, it looks like he could, potentially be real. So I'm like, well, maybe I won't dive into becoming a Muslim just yet. I'm just gonna kind of chill out and I'm gonna wait a second. But what I was also dealing with at that time, I was trying to figure out if I really wanted to be a nurse practitioner, because at the time I was an RN, or if I wanted to actually go to medical school. So I had my transcript evaluated at UMC School of Medicine, and I learned that I had 2 classes to take before, and the MCAT, before getting into the program. So that was kind of like my path that I decided I wanted to take. I was like, I'm not really interested in becoming a nurse practitioner anymore, but at the same time I was kind of teeter-tottering between the two. And so that was something that was in the back of my mind as well, and it had been in the back of my mind for at least a year by that time. So as I discovered all of these artifacts and just different things that I was seeing within the Bible, I now we're nearing the end of my fast. And again, I grew up Baptist. It's no shade to anybody who goes to a Baptist church or anything like that, but you know, I never heard about prophecy. I never heard about any of this kind of stuff. I never heard that there were multiple heavens. I didn't know any of that. But during this fast, I was just filling myself with biblical knowledge and the word. I was reading the Bible, things like that. And I started watching a YouTube video by Dr. Cindy Trim and Dr. Juanita Bynum. And in this video, I was just, you know, the worshiping got really high at the end. They started a prayer, and like I said, they were worshiping. And so I'm in the bathroom just doing my hair, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, I'm in awe, because I'm like, man, they got a lot of knowledge, and I want to go get these books, extra books, and read about, you know, this, because I never learned this, even though I've been in church my whole life. So it was just like blowing my mind. Like my mind was like a sponge. But like as I stated, at the end of the video, they had a prayer, and I stopped doing my hair in the bathroom, and I just started lifting my hands in worship. And so it was Friday. It was Friday. And so I'm lifting my hands in worship, and the next thing I know, I started hearing it wasn't my own. It was like you know how you hear a voice in your head, like say if you finna do something bad and you hear like, oh, don't do that. It was like that type of voice. So not that I actually heard, you know, somebody speaking, but it's like I heard an audible voice in my head, and it said, I'm gonna use you as a nurse practitioner. And when you finish becoming a nurse practitioner, people are going to ask, how did your patients get better, and how you did it and how you overcame, and you're going to tell them that it was me. And when I heard that, baby, I slid out that chair. You talking about somebody crying? Oh, I was crying, y'all. And when I finally got myself together, if my cousin Javis ever watches this, I have a cousin named Javis who is a minister, and he can vouch that I called him, and I was crying so hard he thought something was wrong. And he was just like, the Holy Spirit has hit you, you know, and, you know, God has given this revelation to you. And it was like, I heard him saying other stuff, but baby, I couldn't hear nothing, because God had literally, for the first time in my life that, you know, I can really just audibly say, he had given me direction. Like I heard from him, and it blew my mind. So here comes, you know, Saturday or whatnot. So here's Saturday, and I'm so excited, man. I was so excited to go to church. So I decided that I was going to go to a church, and it's called, I hope I get it right. It's I believe it's New Hope. It's New Hope in Natchez, and Bishop Cersei is the pastor. And so if you guys look it up, you'll be able to find it. I had actually went to his church before, and only on one time. He didn't know me, and I went with somebody, and he prophesied over both of us. And so I decided, well, you know, I know this is a man of God. He's real. I'm going to go to his church, and I'm going to wear this cross necklace. So I had a necklace at that time. It had like, it was silver, and it had like pearls along, you know, like the part that goes around your neck, and then it was a cross. And I decided that I was going to wear that cross, and I said, Jesus, this is the last time, you know, this is the last thing, God. If you are real, I'm going to wear this cross, and I want you to have Bishop Cersei to call me out if this is really real. So I put the cross on that morning. I was so excited to go to church. And man, I wish I could remember the song that I was listening to. I was just in such high worship. man, in high spirits. Like at that point, I knew Jesus was real. Nobody could tell me anything. I mean, zero. And so made it to the church. And if you know anything about Bishop Cersei, he's a prophet. I don't care. A lot of people say prophets, they're not real anymore. So whatever you want to call it, he gives prophetic words. God speaks to this man. And so, like I said, this was only my second time going to his church. And Andrea recommended him. So that's how I ended up even finding out about his church. I didn't know anything about him. He didn't know anything about me. So this is my second time going, and I was by myself at that time. So he starts prophesying, and he probably prophesied, this is just a guess, to probably about 10 people. And he was wrapping up. And so I'm like, well, you know, hey, it is what it is. But God, I know you spoke to me yesterday, so I'm not going to say that you're not real, because I know that encounter that I had yesterday was so real. And so with that being said, I end up, thinking that thought. And the next thing I know, Bishop Cersei, he was, like I said, he was finna wrap everything up, and he stopped. And it's like he was listening for the voice of God. He stopped and he scanned the audience. And then as he scanned it, he stopped on me. And he said, you with that cross. He said, bring her up here. And so I ended up walking to the front. And y'all, yeah, I know y'all probably think I'm lying, but I just can't remember everything that he said. But one thing that I know that he said, he was saying that I had been seeking the Lord. And like I said, I cannot remember everything, but I remember he told me, your life is never going to be the same after this. And he touched my forehead. And I went back. It made me so light on my feet. And like I said, I didn't grow up doing any of this. Like, I didn't see anybody get prophesied to. I didn't hear none of that. Like, I never saw any of that. So all of this is new to me. The prophetic is new to me. The gifts, all of that new to me. Words of knowledge, all new to me. So I went back, and then he said, bring her back up here. And he touched me again. And I just don't remember everything that he said. But I just remember what stuck with me is that her life will never be the same after this. And he was not lying. Because after that, and again, my friend girl Andrea and her daughter, they can attest to this. I was getting words, words of knowledge, prophetic words from God about people. I had a friend who had lost a child, and I was driving to work, and I heard God tell me that she was going to have another child, and it was going to be a boy. It was a janitor, like in the parking lot where I was working, because I was working downtown Jackson at the time. I was a nurse case manager for an insurance company, and I was walking, and then I would hear, like, it's like I was hearing at that time. I think I was like, okay, is this real? And I remember just kind of asking God, okay, like, show me if it's somebody that need a word from you, then show it to me. And there was a guy that used to clean up the building of the parking lot, because it used to be small offices in there, and it was on Capitol Street. And I remember God giving me a word for him, and I wrote it down. I wrote down everything God was saying, because it's like, as I'm hearing, I started writing it down, and I gave it to him along with well, I don't want to say what else I gave to him, because that's not important. But when I gave it to him, I just walked off. And then he saw me the next day, and he was like, you come here. He was like, who told you all this stuff? And I was like, don't worry about it. Just glory to God. He was like, who told you to do this for me? And I was like, don't worry about it. And it's like he had tears in his eyes. But I just told him, glory to God, because I wanted God to get all the glory, because I knew this has never happened to me before in my life. So I knew it wasn't me. It wasn't my own doing. So I just continued to have stuff like that happened in my life. I started having prophetic dreams of where I was doing deliverance. I didn't really know much of anything about, deliverance or whatever. So this is stuff that I had to start watching videos on, because like I said, I just didn't know anything about a lot of the gifts and just deliverance and, just the true ministry of Jesus. I just didn't know it. So yeah, that was what my life consisted of in 2017. Now, don't get me wrong, I made several mistakes big mistakes after that. So my life, I was not perfect. Even though I had that very supernatural experience with God, I was still not perfect by any means. But God just continued to purge things that were not like him out of me. So yeah, and I just want to, also testify that God is really real, because you know how God said he's going to use me as a nurse practitioner. So I did go ahead and got accepted into nurse practitioner school. So I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and by the glory of God, and God is definitely using me. Like, one thing about it, when I graduated, it was in 2020. So with that being said, it was, it was during a pandemic. I couldn't find a job. So I'm like, oh God, like, what am I going to do? And I remember running across this like group or post or something, maybe about 3-4 years, before I graduated. And it was a guy who was a nurse practitioner, and he was teaching nurse practitioners how to open up their own telemedicine practice. So it's like God brought that back to my memory, and I found that guy, purchased his course, and it kind of just developed from there. So I opened my first practice in Arizona, and yeah, it just went from there. I went into another state, and then I eventually was able to find me a collaborator in my actual, resident, state that I reside in. I was able to find a collaborator, and probably about a year after I started practicing in my home state, I opened an office, and last year I opened a second office in the actual state that I work in. But that's not to bring any glory on myself. During that time, I've been able to pray with patients. God has allowed me to be used as a vessel to do deliverance. I never thought that I would be doing it, because like I said, I didn't grow up seeing it. And to be honest, I just started having the dreams that I was doing deliverance way back then, after the experience with Bishop Cersei. And I just started watching videos on it. So ever since 2017, I've been watching videos on deliverance. I've been buying books. I've been reading when Jesus would deliver people, like the man who cut himself. And it's crazy, like I always tell people, to be honest, you really can't separate psychiatry from the word, because there was music therapy in the Bible that was used when, I believe it was Saul that was going crazy. Crazy. I hate to use that term, but you understand what I'm saying, or insane, however you want to put it. Again, Jesus delivered a man that people were scared of. He used to break off chains. He used to cut himself. So, it's insane that people don't realize how much psychiatry is definitely in the Bible, or mental health, however you want to put it. But yeah, that's my Easter speech. That's my little Easter, testimony, slash how I became a nurse, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, or even why I did. So the only thing that I want to leave you guys with is that, man, this is one of my favorite holidays. And like I said in the beginning, I don't care. Y'all can holler pagan. I'm going to celebrate Christ's resurrection. And it's not just going to be one day. It's going to be every day, because I know where he brought me from. I know, where he's still bringing me to. So let me just let you know that Christ is yet alive. He is yet alive. He has risen. I know that sounds cliche, but he is a God that he wants to talk to you. He wants to give you direction. You don't need direction from tarot cards. You don't need direction from psychics or any of that. You can go straight to the Father, because the veil has been torn. So I just want to say, thank you guys for listening. And happy Easter, man. Or let me take the back. Not happy Easter for all, because I know some of y'all gonna try to come for me. But happy Resurrection Sunday. Bye, y'all.